My grandma used to say, and I kid you not, that she could literally tell when Chuck Norris was about to start beating people up. Because she said that he had a certain pair of jeans that he would wear when he was about to open up a can, as she would say. And whether or not that's an actual fact, I couldn't help but remember my grandma's words this weekend when Ricky Wysocki walked up to the first tee on the final round of Ledgestone looking like he was about to go fly fishing. And instead, he opened up a can. Jokes aside, I want to break down Ricky's win this weekend, and not a shared win this time, but outright. As well, I want to dive into discussion about the course and the event and look at some impressive performances from other players that were in contention up until the final round. But first, I wanted to say thank you for being here. My name's Mason with Heiser Flight, and if you think this video is worth your time, then it would mean a great deal if you subscribe to the channel. Alright, so I need your imagination here, just for a second. I want you to think about the tightest gap at your local disc golf course. That one hole that seems to show up in your nightmares, where the tree bark of its fairway is a literal tally count of your failures. For me, it's hole 7 at Blackhawk Disc Golf Course in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's this stupid tree. And here's a bonus clip of Mason Ford making it look like child's play. So, do you have that gap in your mind? Now imagine that hole is, 150 feet longer, and the gap is a bit smaller, and the landing zone more specific, and the rough is, rougher. And now imagine a course made entirely of holes like that. Welcome to Northwood Black and to Ledgestone 2022. If you haven't figured out already from my channel, I love to talk about courses and the things that make every single property unique. And with Ledgestone, when it comes to the two courses, I really want to focus on Northwood Black. I think it's the meat and potatoes of this event. And to be honest, despite the lack of data coverage for the live stream and the inability to accommodate large amounts of spectators, in my opinion as a nobody, I think that competitively and from a viewership perspective, Northwood Black is one of the most exciting courses on the Pro Tour and overshadows Eureka Lake in a lot of ways. To win at Northwoods, you need to not only survive but thrive on one of the most difficult courses on the planet. It's not a giant surprise to anyone that the Scramble King himself won Ledgestone with the highest scramble rate in the field. It takes someone with grit and fight to win this event, especially on Northwoods. To me, that course seems suffocating, like it would make me claustrophobic because there is no reprieve from the difficulty. There's no easy holes where you can catch your breath and settle down. No, it's tight gap after tight gap. You need to fight for hours until you reach the 18th green, and that's why, in some weird way, I enjoy this course. Watching it, of course. In round 2, only 26% of the field finished their round under par, while in round 3, that number jumped up to a whopping 27%. Compare that to a random round from our last event, Deglo, which is a tough course in its own right, where over 55% of the field finished under par. That is a staggering leap in difficulty. All that to say, you need to have the mental game and the scramble game to win at an event like this, and we know Ricky has just that. So let's zoom out a little bit. Round 1 starts off with a bunch of aces, and Gannon Burr shooting one of the hottest rounds of the season, rated a blistering 1086. And we saw some lesser known names springing up to the top of the leaderboard with great performances, like Kevin Kiefer and Brandon Cawthorn and Steven Jacobs, but in round 2, we entered Northwood Black. I don't really have a name for this phenomenon, but I'll call it the round 2 effect, where the sample size gets larger and the best of the best crawl up the leaderboard until you're looking at a lead card of killers. I loved round 3's coverage. That lead card had such an interesting dynamic with two legends of the sport, with two that could easily join those ranks someday if their potential is fully realized, all of them trading blows for position on the leaderboard. Speaking of young talent, Anthony Barela is such an interesting disc golfer to watch, and he has been for years now. Some say that he could be one of the best in the world if he put it all together, and I absolutely agree. If you combine backhand plus forehand distance, I think there's only two players in the world that can match Barela. That would be Eagle McMahon when healthy, and of course Ricky Wysocki. Maybe Ezra Aderhold too could be in that conversation, but I don't think that anyone else in the world has such insane power on both forehand and backhand. And Anthony put that on full display this weekend. His giant wraith forehand flex lines through the fairways of Northwood Black was a thing to behold. And they weren't just power shots, but they were accurate too. His backhand approach on the terrifying hole 12 in round 2 might have been my favorite shot of the entire tournament. All that to say, he has to putt better to win these kinds of events. It's as simple as that. All of his other tools are completely beyond there. On the DGPT this year, AB is currently 84th in Circle 1 putting and 49th in Circle 2 putting, though we've seen him get hot with the putter before. If Barela can put everything together, then he can win, but we've yet to see it happen on the biggest stage. And until that day comes, it is what it is. Potential. So we'll just have to wait, and we'll see. Anthony should be proud of his performance this weekend. He hung neck and neck with the best of the world for 4 full rounds on courses that I don't even think suit his strengths, and he reminded the disc golf world once again what he's truly capable of. And of course, I cannot fail to mention Gannon Buhr. I mean, I don't know what else to say at this point anymore, except to remind you what you've already heard 1,000 times, and that's that he is 17 years old, and he's fighting with Ricky Wysocki for Elite Series titles. Like him or not, his putting has undoubtedly raised the bar in the disc golf world without question. And he's quietly putting together one of the most impressive strings of top 10 finishes we've seen since Calvin Heimburg last year. And the most terrifying part is he is getting better. My one gripe with Gannon's game is that I think he genuinely struggles sometimes with hitting tight gaps off of the tee. His accuracy on heavily wooded courses was not there last year. The thing that immediately stuck out to me watching Gannon at Northwoods this year was his confidence. He seems so smooth and unbothered with throwing touchy mid-range shots through narrow gaps, and I think that going forward, if this continues, he will win one of these events. He's been on the cusp several times now, and this will not be the last time that Gannon Buhr and Ricky Wysocki go toe-to-toe. So we get through round 3 into the final round, and we're all expecting another wire-to-wire finish when Rick puts the bucket hat on and does what he does by running away with it by hole 11. And though it wasn't the most exciting final round of the year, I enjoyed seeing Rick put his foot on the gas and taking it, leaving nothing up to chance. All of this, by the way, with an injury. This man is not going to slow down. Before we wrap up, I have 2 interesting statistics to pull up. One is concerning Calvin Heimburg. I talked in my last video about the unfinished business from last year between Calvin and Rick, and it seems like Calvin never really was in contention at Ledgestone this year, even though I predicted him to win the whole thing. So here's where it gets interesting. In round 2, Calvin shot an abysmal 6 over. It was a 991 rated round and well below the standard that Calvin Heimburg sets. So how did he respond? Well, Calvin did so by shooting the hottest round of the tournament at Northwood Black, a 1068 rated round and 15 strokes better than the round previous. That's pretty crazy. My other shout out has to go to Andrew Marweed, who simply finished the last 2 tournaments in a row first in putting from Circle 1, missing 1 putt out of 84 from Circle 1X. That's pretty good. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching my post-Ledgestone breakdown. What did you think of the tournament? Let me know in the comments. Des Moines Challenge is up next, and I will see you then. Thank you so much for your time.